The following interview segment was taken from Talking Wealth on flix.net. That's FLIXX.net. Talking Wealth is brought to you by Wealth Within and presented by Dale Gillham and Janine Cox. To watch the full episode, go to flix.net, click on the On Demand section, and then click on Talking Wealth under the Finance section. Or for more information, visit wealthwithin.com.au.
Joshua Rotbart, welcome to Talking Wealth. How are you today?
I'm very good. I'm in sunny Hong Kong. How are you doing, Janine?
Lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, look, can you send some of that this way? Because it's really cold here, I can tell you that in Melbourne. Yeah.
It's getting cold, right?
Yeah, we actually had on Tuesday, I think it was, we had a day with many seasons in one day, which often happens in Melbourne at this time of year. So it was windy, raining, and it seemed like there was this warm breeze coming potentially from the north. And so we couldn't quite work out what was going to happen this week, but the weather forecasts are that it's going to be like this. So a lot more rain, I think, potentially.
Well,
Maybe you need a bit of rain your way.
Oh, we have rain. It's the rainy season, definitely starts. So it's rainy season in the summer. So it's quite pouring rain the last 2 days. But yeah, today, beautiful day, but 35 degrees.
Wow, stop making me envious. Now, in your last interview, we chatted about inflation and gold as a hedge. This time we're going to be talking about silver, which I'm really excited about, just to find out what's happening with silver and just your thoughts on it, and also anything that you want to raise as something that investors should be aware of in this area, because a lot more investors are starting to look at silver now, aren't they?
Yes, silver become very popular the last, I would say, probably this year, for a few reasons. So before maybe I'll talk more current affairs, maybe I'll just take a step back and mention silver is even sometimes under our radar here at J.Rotbart, because we're so, we love gold, we like the steadiness of gold, so we tend to overlook kind of the poor man's gold, right, which is silver. But silver, it's a very interesting metal because it is dual, right? It has the investment element of it. And then it reacts similar to gold. Inflation concerns will push silver up. Loosening monetary policies will push silver up. Financial recovery will also, and that's very different than gold, financial recovery will help silver because silver has industrial use. Silver is a metal that has a great conductivity, and it's been used for, other than jewelry, it's been used for example, for photoelectric cells. So all the solar panels that we're using are becoming so much popular, especially now under Biden administration. All these panels are made with silver. And that's what makes it a very interesting metal because of this duality. Because if, let's say, with gold, if the markets, if there's a recession, gold will do well.
Yes.
Silver will not do well during recession because we have less industrial uses. But on the other hand, if there's a recovery, that's when gold will maybe, the price will kind of be stalled. Silver may go up, and that's one of the things we see. So talking back about inflation, yes, inflation, the concerns for inflation that we see now globally, especially US, but other places. And I'd just like to mention one of the reasons is shortage in commodities, increasing prices in base metals,
yes,
which pushes silver also up. All these are affecting silver. Silver is a good hedge against inflation. But again, if we're looking at the industrial use, we see a lot of room for even further appreciation. Again, the Biden green policies is going to be great for silver. Electric cars, Tesla is opening more factories. All these are really great for silver because they need it in their system. They're producing these items using silver. And silver, unlike gold, it's not something that you mine individually. Silver is mostly byproduct of mining processes of other metals, either base metals or gold. So it's not like you have a mine that's doing only silver. It's really subject to the supply and to the production of this mine of other metals.
So is it mainly the gold miners that are finding the silver then, or is it other? What other resources are being pulled out of the ground and the silver tends to be with those?
It could be even copper. right? In copper, when they mine copper, then there'll be silver component in the ground that will allocate. And you see it also on the mining side. The bigger production of silver is actually doesn't correlate with gold. Gold is China, for example, Australia. Silver, the biggest miners are production is in Peru and Mexico,
Right.
and China comes only third. So it shows it's different element of mining that brings silver to the table.
So as these miners are digging more out of the ground, so do we assume then that the silver production goes up as well?
Yes, but what we've been seeing is that, first of all, again, there's less guarantee because it really depends on the mix of silver in the ground. But what we see actually, again, and that's byproduct of COVID and other political issues, is that those countries, Mexico, Peru, they do less, they produce less now.
Right.
So we did have some oversupply in 2020, oversupply of silver, but it was absorbed by investors. And again, that's the duality of the metal that makes it such an interesting metal. I mean, demand for silver,
because you've got this competition between industry and investment. So
exactly.
Is it going to get to a point where the investors are really pushing the price up so much that it makes the industry components unaffordable for the use that they were designed for?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. You see, and by the way, we saw it in India the last 12 months. India is a big consumer of silver, but due to COVID, but not only COVID, due to rising prices of silver in Indian rupiah, the demand is all-time low in India at the moment for silver because it became just too expensive for people to buy it. So in the terms of the local currency.
Right.
But I want to go back to the investment side because we did have a development earlier this year. We had a trial at the Silver Squeeze, if you remember, something similar to what was done to the game company, the computer game company. So we saw Reddit users and small, younger retail investors trying to squeeze the silver short, which brought prices up to, I think, if I remember correctly, almost $30 an ounce. But then it went down to, I think, 25, 26 and recovering because obviously they weren't successful.
Right.
I think, but one thing they were successful, one thing we see, and that's what's very interesting in the silver market. It's very difficult now to buy silver product. If you're looking at the Perth Mint, if you're looking at the local silver refinery here in Hong Kong, they just cannot produce enough silver to satisfy the demand. The demand for silver bars and coins this year was all-time high.
So people are stockpiling it for currency, are they? Because it's cheaper than gold and could be used as a currency. Do you think that's what's happening? I
think what's happening is that they look at the room for appreciation. Again, silver price went up dramatically year on year. We're almost 70% higher than where we were a year ago. And investors are looking at it, and they're looking at silver slightly different than gold. First, you can buy more ounces of silver than you can buy gold. So your potential for gains is much higher, right?
That's the theory, though. That's a theory, because it's like buying a stock that's $200 versus buying something that's, $2. You're not necessarily going to get more gain out of that one just because the price is lower than the other one, but the speculative nature of that $2 stock is much greater. But you could also, on something as volatile, more volatile, silver, you could lose money faster than what you would on gold.
Exactly, and that's so. If you're looking on so just to your point, yes, there is some speculative element to it. So when a client is buying silver, it's true. Just the fact you can buy more doesn't mean it's going to appreciate more. But they are buying it knowing that it can appreciate because, and this is where I want to get to, because of the reasons I mentioned, because of the U.S. now, the Biden administration's new green policies, we're going to need more silver. Because of the low production rate in Mexico and Peru, we're going to have a bit of less supply and higher demand because they see what's going on. Today, frankly, we lost one silver deal because the items the client wants will not be ready until 8 weeks from now.
Okay.
So the refineries now are taking orders for, their backlog of 8-10 weeks. So they cannot get the material to the refinery. They cannot refine enough. So,
well, just a bit further to that client, the shame here, or the sad part is here, if the price of silver does pull back, if they were patient and waited, they may have been able to get it cheaper temporarily, because it could very well pull back in the short term before that next move up anyway.
Yeah, but that's the nature of the metal. I mean, even if you look at the daily volatility, the average daily volatility of silver is double than the one of gold. Mm-hmm. If you're looking at the price of silver now, is we mentioned almost $28 per ounce. At all-time high was almost 50.
Yeah.
But it depends how you look at it. So yeah, I agree with you. It's more, it used to be, I met this older New York trader, and he told me that the traders in New York used to, in the exchange used to call silver the devil's metal because of its volatility, because you can make a lot of money, you can lose a lot of money because you have a lot of it, right? So it is true. It is, I would say, generally, and that was the way I looked at it mostly was more as a speculative asset. But I have to say today, it's true that the price may go down a bit, but but the fundamentals are still very, very supportive of further appreciation. And I think we have a good chance of seeing silver crossing $32 per ounce this year. I'm not, and by now I'm not going crazy and saying I have some clients showing me analysts that say we will cross the $100.
Yeah.
So we're not there, and I don't think we will get there soon. But for sure, crossing the $30 mark again, and further pushing to 32, 33, that's doable this year. And I think that's what on those clients' mind is as, yes, I have gold, and a lot of them will put both gold and silver in their portfolio, in their precious metal portfolio. So a typical, I would say, diversification could be 80% allocation to gold, where you have the base, the more stable hedge, and then 20% of the money, let it run on silver, because this is where actually, yes, now we think you can get better price appreciation on the silver, and 20% is enough of your portfolio to make nice gain on silver. Now, one more thing I want to mention, which is, again, it's just indicative, is the gold to silver ratio.
Right.
The gold to silver ratio, and we said, is it has an average, right? It tends to, and you look at the long term, it's an average. We are relatively, today, I think the ratio is 63, 64, which means that silver is still relatively underpriced compared to gold. Now, before the run we had on a silver, before the price appreciated, and I remind, silver price appreciated 45% in 2020 alone. And we saw it coming because this gold to silver ratio was over 120, even 130. So it was obvious that we need to balance it. It tends to balance around the 50 to 60, and we're still at 63. There's still, silver compared to gold is still underpriced.
That's really good that you put it in that perspective for investors, because it just makes sense of it then, doesn't it? That, they talk about silver moving with gold at times, and then silver will stop and pull back. But do you think that if the gold goes to a new all-time high, do you think it's going to take 2 or 3 years before silver gets there?
No, definitely. I don't think so. It will take shorter. Mm-hmm. Because again, if I look at the gold to silver ratio, we should be actually, silver is underpriced. So if gold will go up, depends how, of course depends how much gold will go up. But if gold will go up, it have to drag with him. We didn't spend a few months, it will drag silver up. Again, all-time high, I don't know, we're 40% below the all-time high. So we need maybe another good year for silver, and then maybe it will get there. But I have to tell you, the issue we will see then is the industrial use, as you mentioned, that may become a problem, and the second thing we may see is the lack of supply for the investment side of things, because it's really difficult to get material. I can tell you, whenever there's a shipment of silver coming out from the refinery, it's been sold before they even produce it.
Yeah. So get your solar panels now. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. start melting them, start accumulating. It may be worth a lot of money.
Yeah. And looking at the silver chart that I've got in front of me, because I was just thinking about your point about it going to a new all-time high. You know, in the short term, ideally, if it does, it's been running up for a number of weeks now. If it can just pull back a little bit, and it may not because, like you say, the demand's so strong, but if it does, it's really going to set it up much better to get to that $32 mark you were talking about, possibly even 35. That's what I'd be saying that is achievable this year. But from a chartist point of view, I'd just like to see that little pullback first, just to underpin the rise that's potentially coming.
Yeah. I mean, we don't like when things go one way, right? We want to see a bit more balance.
Yes,
balance
exactly.
over there.
It's got to step up. Otherwise, if it gets too accelerated, then we're more likely to see much stronger move on the downside before it really gets going.
Exactly. So. And we need to see how it will unfold this year, because the word is that there may be a slight pull down, but I don't think it will go down too deep. What do you think? What do you anticipate? If it's going to go down, what's the resistance level there?
Yeah, look, I'd like to see it find support around that $26 mark, $26.50. If it goes below $25.50 in a strong way, then I'd be more to the downside on silver at that point.
I agree.
Thinking it's likely to take out that prior trough closer to $23.50, $24. If it takes out that, could be down for a few months. But, you know, there would have to be some really significant change in the use of silver or the demand for silver for that to happen. And you're not seeing that right now. You're seeing more demand on the upside than anything else. So that's why at the moment I'm thinking maybe a short-term downside would be ideal for the setup for the next run.
Yeah, and I do agree with you. I think if silver goes down also, it gives, the way it works, of course, once it goes down a bit, it gives more investors incentive to go into the market. Because if you're thinking, okay, we're already looking at 60-70% appreciation year on year, maybe I should hold for now. And I totally agree with you, though. If it will dip too much, then it will stay there for a while, I think, because it was kind of, I think the psychology of it a lot of the time makes sense, because, you know, we talk to private clients, so we kind of know how individuals think, and you put it en masse. If it's going to go down to the levels you mentioned, you know, 24 and below, kind of clients will hold. They will hold, and they will hesitate whether they should buy, because, you know, the question is, are we down deep enough, or it's going to continue going down? And I think that will be on that question will be on people's mind if it goes down too deep. So I agree with you. We want to see slight correction, but I wouldn't want to see it go down below at 25.50 or 25 in extreme case, because then I'm afraid you're going to get stuck down there for a while. If
you're a trader, you wouldn't want to be in it under that.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, look, perhaps next time we get together, we'll see what's actually unfolded on the silver price. Then we can be talking about, you know, what did it actually do, and then where to from here. So thank you so much for joining us today, Joshua Rotbart. Where can people find you?
They can find us at J.Rotbart.com or on YouTube, our channel, where they can see our analysis or the information we provide on the market.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you very much for joining us today. Take care, and bye for now.
Thank you, Janine. Thank you very much.
For more information on our guest in today's episode, visit the link on screen right now. For more Talking Wealth, visit flix.net, click on the On Demand section, and then click on Talking Wealth under the Finance section. That's flixx.net. Or visit wealthwithin.com.au, where we have hundreds of informational videos, live shows, and Talking Wealth podcasts. Talking Wealth was voted number 3 in stock market podcasts globally in 2018 by FeedSpot. For more information on our courses, visit wealthwithin.com.au.